Okay, today we are going to learn conditional statement. In the textbook, the author said it's a selection, but usually in most books, we saw it conditional statement. Last week we learned those how to define a variable, how to do some basic calculation, how to get input using scanner. For example, this is a function. Sorry, this is a program to compute the area. So we input the radius of the circle, and we can compute the area using this equation, and also using compute the circumference using the other equation. And finally, at last, we can just output the area and the circumference. But the thing is, we don't know if the input is correct, even though the user that input like -5 is not possible, right? But the program will still compute a negative value for you. So we need to determine to try to figure out how to determine if this input is correct. So this way we need something called Boolean type. So this kind of type is usually used to compare two things. For example, if A is greater than B, and Java. So for example, this example, if we use a Boolean type, we can find out if the input is larger than 0. Other if it's negative, less than 0, or if it's just 0, we can tell the user your input is incorrect. You need to do something else. So, and so there are two types of a Boolean value: true or false. Sorry, do you notice in Java we use this just all lowercase letters, true and false. In other language might be different. Earlier this year, during the final exam, there's a question to ask what to return, like return true or return false. And there's a student he just write down return yes and no. That's not at least not correct in Java. So it's just although it's yes means true, right? No means false, but we need to use true and false. So there are these 6 type of relational operators, basically just to compare what's if this like the value of the two things. For example, if the radius is 5, so because it's larger than 0, so the first 2 is false, and the other 2 is true, which is the same as we learned in mathematics. And also we have equal sign and the not equal sign. So we can declare a variable, a Boolean variable B, and make it initialize it if true. And also if we just using int to transfer this Boolean type to integer, true will equals to 1, and if it's false, it will equal to 0. And also so this now we know true or false, we can learn this conditional statement. Basically, this statement is in this kind of format. So the program will check what's the value inside here. If it's true, it will do something like this to perform the statement inside the bracket. And if it's false, just go ignore this thing and just do nothing. So for example, this question, if the radius is positive, what? Oh yeah, if it's positive, we just compute the area, and if it's not positive, just here's nothing. But actually, we can say something else, like your input is not correct, something like that. So for example, in this question, we can actually the compute area. So we can just if it's larger than 0. Sorry. Oh, too small. Oh, sorry. So because I want to determine if the radius is larger than 0, so I just actually I can just say that if the radius is smaller than or equals to 0, we will say something like system note input not an input invalid, right? So the user will know their input is not correct. So this is a way we can just solve this kind of issue. So notice that the Boolean type, I mean the if-else statement, the Boolean inside it has to be enclosed by the parentheses. And so the left one is wrong, and this one is correct. And also, but if there is only one statement after the conditional statement, actually the curly brace is like you can keep it or remove it. Either way is okay. So yeah, we just check the demo to check if the radius is larger than 0. So besides the if statement, there are other statement called if-else statement, just an additional step. So if is correct, if this statement is true, we will do if this condition is true, we will do the statement inside the if statement. And otherwise, if this condition is false, we just do the other statement. So just like this, true do one and false do another statement. So this way, the compute area for the compute area program, actually we can just say else, or maybe just we can move the calculation part inside the just inside the else statement. So if it's negative, we just do nothing and output there's something wrong. And if it's positive, it's correct, we just compute the area and everything, just output it to the screen. So this just a demo showing how we can use if-else statement to determine the if the input is valid. So since we have this kind of if-else statement, we can actually make it to like a multiple statement. We can have a bunch of if-else, because sometimes there could be a lot of conditions to determine. For example, we want to determine the grade of the student based on the score. So if it's larger than 90, so it's A. Else if it's larger than 80, it's B. So on and so forth. Just one if else. Just remember like one if, just one else. So yeah.
Sorry, so what's first between if and else if?
Yeah, else if is a way to say like
What if?
yeah.
Another way of saying what if?
What if? Sort of, yeah. So else if is like because it's else, it means at least this condition is not true. But we have another condition. So I mean, even though, for example, even though the score is less than 90, we still need to determine if it's larger than 80.
So else if is made to decide its possibilities,
Possibility?
like what it can be, what else it can be other than.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, for example, if there's only one if else, you can only determine like if it's larger than 90. Yeah, you cannot say if it's larger than 70 or something like that. So it has to be. So let's see an example. So let x is equal to 3, y is equal to 2. So what is the answer of this code?
So x is bigger than 2.
Yeah.
3 is bigger than 2.
Yeah, this is.
So the answer is 3 is bigger than 2. X is bigger than 2.
X is.
And y is bigger than 2, which is not true because they're both the same 2. So
Yeah.
2 equals 2.
Mm-hmm.
And z, what is z?
Z equals
z equals x plus y, meaning z equals 3 plus 2,
Mm-hmm.
which is 5. Z equals 5. Okay.
So
System out z is. Let's see, I don't get that.
this is 5.
System out print, and what is that?
Oh, this is the way Java used to print out something to the screen. For example, if z equals to 5, so this line will say print out to screen z is 5.
Oh, I put that in code with no formula to do it.
Sorry.
If I were to put like x equals 3 and y equals 2,
Mhm.
then I would put z equals x plus y. I wouldn't have to give the answer myself. The system would do it for me.
Yes, that's right.
It's like, yeah.
This is the way to do the calculation. Like you just need to give you define a bunch of variables and using those variables to form a very complex like a formula. And then next time you just need to give the input, the program just do the calculation for you.
Okay. So another question.
So what do you think the answer is?
What the answer is?
Yeah, like if x equals to 3, y equals to 2, what will be output to the screen, this program?
Would be the else output. Okay, so if the system output content is 5, the system output could be 4, 3, and 2 and 1. 5. The else could be 4.
No, what do you think?
5.
Y is not equal to y is equals to 2. So the else.
Okay, how about you? What do you think?
Place of greater than sign, if it would have been greater than equal to, then it would go into the second if statement. But unless and until it's just a greater than sign, it would come out and directly go to the else statement. So x is 2.
X is okay.
Oh, sorry, x is 3. So
Okay. So actually, for this one, the code print out nothing. Because you can see if else larger than 2, yeah, if it is greater than 2, so it will just go into this block. We have a parenthesis, we have a curly brace here. So if this is correct, it will do something like just do the statement inside this curly brace. But this one is not true. Y is equals to 2, not greater than 2. So this one is false. Because it's false, it just do nothing. And that's it. Because this else, it corresponds to this if. We already determined this condition at here. So, and this block do nothing, so then this whole program do nothing. Yeah, that's a way. Yeah, so because like these are 2 blocks, and because we have curly brace here, so like this condition determine if the program runs this block or if we run this block. Because if we already determined this is true, so they just do something like this. No matter what output, no matter what is output from here, this will not perform because it's already determined. So yeah, if and then if x equals 3, y equals 4, then of course both of them are true, and z will be equal to 7, and we just output.
System would work.
Yeah,
It would turn on.
yeah, that's right. So so we know previously I said if there's only one statement, we can remove the curly brace. But for example, here there is 2 statements. Even if we write the whole program like this, like the indent is the same here, but actually this script equals to this script here, because we don't have curly brace, and the if statement only control this one single statement after it. Otherwise, if we want to the 2 statements to run at once, we have to use curly brace to make them into a single block. So and also many students would add semicolons into the if conditional statement. Actually, this is special. Like for if else statement, we don't need curly like semicolon.
We're gonna go in lab and try all these.
Yeah. And also, this is actually not an error, but for example, if even is a Boolean type, it could be true or it could be false. Of course, we can do it like this, but there will be an additional like comparison to compare if even is true or even is false. But actually, because even is already a Boolean type, we can just check if even, because it's true, you just proceed. If it's false, you just ignore a statement. So, oh yeah, but this is actually a very common error because sometimes we just forget the other equal sign. So one equal is assignment is not equal, but two equal sign means equal. This is very common in all programming languages. Yeah. So if we write the program like this, it will always say it is even, no matter what it is, because this is just an assignment. Assignment step works like it performs and works good, will return true, and that's the. So and also this one is very similar to the previous example we just test, but this time there is no curly brace. So actually the else is just closed. It just matches to the closest if. Although it feels like this if is inside this if, right? Maybe this if statement is correspond to this one, but actually no, because there's no curly brace here. So it just match to the closest one. So a good habit is to always use a curly brace for the blocks you want them to be together. Finally, so there's another error. So sometimes we want to compare if a floating point value is equals to another value. But this is, we know that last week we said floating point is not accurate in programming. For example, this one, we know it's 0.5, but inside the computer it could be 0.5, 0, something 0 and 1, right? So this always give you like return false because it's not equal. So another way to do this is just to compare their difference. If their difference is very small, like smaller to a very smaller each like number, we will say, okay, they are the same. This is also common in like AI, the training models. Usually they will compare the model error with the error they can accept. If the error is very small, maybe they will say, okay, the training is over, the model is finished. So yeah, this is just a way to coding. Like of course this is okay, but we can actually just move out the things the duplicate code at the end of the statement. We don't have to include everything into the conditional statement. So let's see an example about computing body mass index. We know like usually we use BMI to check if a person is fat or if it's thin. So and this is like the conditions to determine if one is overweight or underweight.